iPhone versus Android as a YouTuber. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. So, what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to iPhone versus Android as a YouTuber. So, in this video, I want to talk about the differences in my experiences between using Android phone versus an iPhone in terms of my experience as being a YouTube content creator. Now, I'm making this video for those of you out there potentially who thinking about making a YouTube channel one day. I want to help you to discover basically what I've gone through using both of these platforms, and maybe this will inspire you to choose basically a certain phone that's going to be the one for you in your YouTube journey if you decide to do a YouTube channel. If you're not doing a YouTube channel and you just want to learn more about iPhone and Android based on my experience as a YouTuber, then stick around as well. So with that being said, I am going to discuss about 5 to 6, maybe 7 areas that I've experienced between iPhone and Android. And let me just make this clear right out of the gate. I don't recommend that everyone go ahead and use both of these operating systems. I think that, using both can make your life a little bit more complicated. As I've learned, sometimes even me, I get a little bit like, whoa, that's a lot of phone stuff going on. Like when you're trying to do one thing on one platform, then I come over to the Android side and I got 70 million downloads because I forgot that I had downloads on this one. So using two different operating systems can complicate your life a little bit. So I do honestly think most people should just settle down with one platform. But I cover both here because personally, I don't believe in right and wrong, bad and good. I think that, there's a side to everything. There's a good things and bad things about both sides. So I don't think that choosing one or the other is necessarily better. It just comes down to what works for you as a user. Now, at one point in time, I do think that the iPhone had a healthy lead over the Android in terms of a lot of the areas we're going to discuss here. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is the hardware and the specifications and speed. So here in 2017, smartphones have gotten to the point where you're not really buying these things anymore for just speed. Even years ago, like 2015 with the Note 5, for example, phones have been fast for a long time. So, you're really buying the experience. You're buying the software. Which software works better for you on these smartphones? So, the Galaxy S8 Plus, for example, has a Snapdragon 835 CPU, 4 gigs of RAM. You might say, well, it's a beautiful design, which I agree. It's a gorgeous phone, the most gorgeous phone on the planet right now, in my opinion. But does that make it the best phone for, a YouTuber, to use every day? Well, not necessarily. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus, I think, and it's in a case right now because it is pretty scratch prone here on the jet black. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus here has an Apple A10 chipset, and while I found my OnePlus series of smartphones to feel quicker than the 7 Plus, it's probably the second fastest phone that I own. Definitely feels a little bit faster than the S8 Plus. And using this thing based on hardware anymore doesn't really matter either. It comes down to iOS, if you're going to be using these as a YouTuber. So with that being said, hardware and specs, besides the cameras, I do think that the cameras on the latest flagships are definitely welcome. They're very good, but they're actually not that much better than a couple years old phones like the Note 5. Like these two phones, if I didn't have either of these and I was only using a phone like the Note 5, the camera would have been just fine here, even here in 2017. Same with a phone like the Galaxy S7. This thing is still plenty good enough. And, cameras also had advanced on a lot of phones, even, lower, cheaper phones like this Nokia 6, for example, 16 megapixel camera, it does the job. But, you really start to improve a lot in terms of the camera if you're going to be, talking about a flagship phone. So as a YouTuber, I do tend to recommend that if you're going to be doing YouTube videos, go with a flagship premium smartphone. Even if it's a year or two old, definitely go with a flagship smartphone. But like I say, hardware and specs, speed, that's not really what's, influenced or made my YouTube experience better when using these phones. Let's get into software now that we're talking about that. And here's an area where I think that it matters more on YouTube. One thing I do want to mention about hardware, though, that really matters on YouTube is expandable memory before we start talking more about software. So I said the speed and the specs aren't that big of a deal, but this is a big deal to me. Having an SD card is a big deal. But one thing I do want to mention, on the contrary, not to contradict myself, I do think the micro SD card is the best way to go for storage. You know, you could say the iPhone's lightning port speed is incredibly fast. And as a YouTuber, I've noticed that, you know, plugging this thing into the computer, this thing transfers files extremely fast. So premium iPhones, lightning port to the computer, extremely fast file transfer, faster than my Androids, bar none. But if I go with a high-speed micro SD card, it's a lot better. And I like the flexibility of a micro SD card. So I think Android definitely has the win when it comes to storage transfer for YouTube. So if you guys are, you know, don't want to invest in a camera and you want to buy storage, you got to go with a premium Android device. You just got to. You're not going to get that on the iPhone. And if your phone is going to be your camera and your phone and maybe even run your channel, they got video editing apps on phones. The premium Android is going to do a better job of that because you'll chew through storage on this iPhone, even at 128 gigs, doing video editing. If you're serious about it, you'll chew through this thing. So yeah, so back into the software. Now the software on the iPhone for me has been, this past year of 2017, has been better to use than the Android, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason why it's been better is I think the application polish and speed, fluidity has, you know, crashed less than the applications on my Android phones. They're updated more, you know, they just look better in my opinion. Now, again, this is just a personal perspective. What you think is better, what you think is a better application or look and feel, that's your perspective. And that perspective is a valid perspective as well. I'm just sharing what I think of in my personal experience. So take it for what you will. Agree with it, don't agree with it, that's cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down, that's fine as well. But the iPhone to me has been the more simpler and more fluid experience for YouTube. Now, I'm not saying the iPhone is a better phone than, say, the Galaxy S8, you know, Galaxy S7, these phones, you know, flagship premium Android phones, because I don't necessarily think it is a better phone than those. But for a YouTube person who, you know, is trying to put out, you know, many videos, we put out, I think, over 200 videos this year already, maybe 300 already. I really don't got time for apps crashing and stuff like that. And I just found that apps twitch, they crash a little bit more on the Android ecosystem. Now, phones that get close to not doing that are more pure vanilla stock Android phones, but even those are not quite as good in my experience as the application experience on the iPhone. And that's one of the hands down reasons why I continue to use the 7 Plus over phones like the Galaxy S8, for example. Now, YouTube applications that I do use on my phones is going to be the YouTube Basic, just the basic YouTube app like everyone else in the world, as well as the Studio app. Now, the Studio app is basically where you run your YouTube business. You know, if you're a YouTuber, in the Studio app. And it actually runs probably a little bit more stable on the iPhone, even though it's not a Google phone. So I found that, you know, the Studio app has crashed a little bit more on Android than on YouTube. So again, you know, going back to the application polish, this is an area where, you know, the iPhone has done better for me as a YouTuber with the iPhone. Now, the areas where I'm grabbing the Android hands down, and I'm more happy to take this out with me, you know, running this channel and stuff, is the camera. So I don't really like to shoot with iPhone's videos. I know they do a great job. They really do. But specifically the iPhone 7 series has been a pain in the butt as a content creator, having no headphone jack. And I didn't bring my little brother over here where the iPhone 7's little brother, his little dongle, you know, that little boy that comes with it in the box. But, you know, having this as a content creator has been amazing, you know, having a headphone jack, because there's a lot of accessories that go with this. Now, there is solutions to that as well, but there's just many microphones that just plug right into the 3.5 millimeter headset jack. So if you want the iPhone experience and you want that, you got to stay away from the more modern iPhones, although you're going to take a hit in performance as they're the fastest iPhones. The Android I'm grabbing because of that reason if I'm going to shoot video. Also, I think the S8 does a better job than the iPhone when it comes to video quality, 4K quality. I think it just looks better. That's my personal opinion. But you'd be surprised. The S8 hasn't actually been my favorite overall Android phone for content creation. It has been the Galaxy Note 5. Almost all of my videos created on vlogs have been with the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. And I bet you believe it. I'm hyped about this Note 8, and definitely you'd be right if you believe that. Now, if you guys are hyped about it, that's cool too, because it's coming to the channel. That's going to be my main driver. The S Pen is a content creator's dream on a phone. Now, this is a niche product, meaning that not everybody cares about an S Pen. But if you're a creative person, if you're a creative professional, and you like to edit photos, you like to tweak your thumbnails, and yes, you can tweak thumbnails right from your smartphone, there's no better phone to me than the Galaxy Note 5. In addition to that, the video quality has been tremendous on the Note 5. Very good and very stable. Same here on the front with the Note 5. I've enjoyed it. Even though it's a 5 megapixel camera, it does one heck of a job when it comes to video recording. So the Note 5 is a gem, and you could find this thing used right now in 2017 for under $300 depending on where you look. And the Note 5 has been my favorite Android content creation phone all time, maybe even my favorite Android phone. And I don't care about the fact that this phone particularly don't have an SD card, because I know the Note 8 is going to get it, and when we get that, that guy is going to be my main driver day after day when it comes to Android phones. I don't know if I'm going to be able to totally use it only because, like I say, the application polish is great on the iPhone. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about here. If you're going to be running a channel as a YouTuber, you know, the Android phone is going to be the better phone. You know, if you're just picking a phone for to do everything, I think the Android phone is going to be the better option. Now, some people are going to say, well, the iPhone's got LumaFusion. The iPhone's got iMovie. This is true, but you know what? They don't have SD cards. They don't have, you know, headphone jacks anymore. So you got to keep that in mind as well. You know, this editing software is pretty great, but you do have plenty of options here on the Android, such as Adobe Clip and stuff like that. So, you know, overall, I think hardware is why I would definitely say Android. Plus, there's more, I would say there's more options to have removable batteries on the Android side of things if you're going with an older phone or maybe a V series. That's like the ultimate, you know, content creation phone, I think, is the LG V series. And they're coming out with a V30. Hopefully, they don't remove the removable battery on that phone. But like I say, if you're going to be doing everything on your phone, I think a premium Android phone is probably the better option, specifically because it runs all Google services anyway. So your Google Plus, everything linked up with your YouTube channel, Gmail, all that stuff is going to run great here on here. Now, if you do work with the iPhone as a YouTuber, if you're thinking about making videos more often, you're just going to have to keep a few things in mind. And, you know, one of them is that you don't have expandable storage. So when you run out of storage, you're going to have to look for solutions. There are solutions. You can plug, you know, adapters in here and get storage on some Bluetooth SD cards and stuff like that. So it will work. I just think it's a little bit more comfortable and cozy to use on the Android device. So overall, what are my conclusions as which phone is overall like top dog when it comes to being a YouTuber? And I can't really give a number one answer, but I can give a kind of a split answer here. The iPhone to me is the better phone to run the channel with. The Android phones, like the Note series of devices, for example, the Note 8 coming out, Galaxy S8 is a good one as well, S7 series, S7 Edge, V30, LG V30. These phones are the better content creation phones. So that's the best way I can put it. If you want to just run your channel and you already got a computer, you already got a camera, I think the iPhone is going to give you a better time when it comes to just using the phone to run everything smoother and stuff like that. But if you don't got a camera, you don't got a computer, all that stuff, the Android is the phone I would choose. And that's pretty much my assessment here. You know, I got a computer, I got a camera, so I've been using the iPhone 7 Plus a little bit more than the Galaxy S8 Plus. And again, my favorite all-time content creator so far has been the Note 5, sans the fact it doesn't have a micro SD card. So I'm looking forward to that Note 5 or Note 8 coming soon later this year. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, click the like button for me, subscribe to the channel for more technology videos like this, and good luck on your YouTube journey if you are going to be doing that. And have a great day. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.